Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Convention with the Weekly Comic Book Roundup. We've had a bit of a big haul, so having to split things up a bit. Anyways, kicking these off as we hit the halfway point, we've got Moon Knight: City of the Dead, number 5. Where we left off, while in the realm of the dead, Moon Knight was in the titular City of the Dead, save the soul of to help to get the soul of a young boy named Nasir, who had been injured in a gang fight, back to his body. While in the city, Moon Knight discovered that a lost love of his, Layla al-Faluli, was the something of a the protector of the city as the Scarlet Scarab. However, turns out that the attack on Khalil was engineered by the Jackal Knight, in actuality the spirit of Moon Knight's deceased brother Randall. And the whole plan was that Khalil was to be a host of Osiris, and so the Jackal Knight forcibly transferred Khalil's powers to himself. And so now they have Moon Knight and Scarlet Scarab deal with a newly empowered Jackal Knight. Basically, so the issue opens. Basically, the realms of the realm of the living and the realm of the dead are kind of merging. We see people in New York dealing with this as well, including Tigra and Tigra, Reese, and Badir. In the City of the Dead, well, Moon Knight brings forth, has his altars take quasi-physical form, and basically the four Moon Knights and Scarlet Scarab attack Randall and his forces, dealing with them, dealing with the deceased enemies of Moon Knight that are working for Randall first, and pretty simply, but Moon Knight defeats his brother, while Khalil grabs the in order to prevent what's happening, or to truly stop what Randall seems to be doing. Khalil takes Randall's blade and stabs himself with it, bringing forth Osiris and stripping Randall of his power. But Moon Knight is able to basically use everything he's gone through as a weapon to bring down Randall. And Mark states to Randall that the reason that he was trying so hard to save Khalil was because he saw Khalil and was reminded of Randall. Osiris heals Randall. Layla and Mark share a goodbye kiss as Mark returns to the land of the living. It turns out that Osiris also returned Khalil's older brother, Rashid, to the land of the living. As Moon Knight snoops for the city, a woman steps out of a antique store. It appears to be Layla. Does be seeing you. And that is where the series ends. This was a fun miniseries. I like that it seems that the MCU version of Scarlet Scarab is being brought into the actual Marvel Comics universe, and not just for the single story. As I was making before I got to those last few pages, I kind of thought, oh, they brought her in just to, as a one-off character, great, but no, it looks like she might be sticking around. Moving on though to our next book, we've got Daredevil Black Armor #1. So back during the '90s, there was a story. I believe there was a run on Daredevil by writer D.D. Chichester, and major story in it was called Fall from Grace. Over the course of the story, Daredevil made a suit of armor. I mean, it's not like not like Iron Man armor, but honest, you can see it on the cover. It seemed well. Look at it. It would seem that it still affords Daredevil his usual agility. So it is frequently it is among the '90s looks that gets maligned because of the '90s. Though, in all honesty, I feel like this one is not that egregious. But so the series opens with Matt Murdock having brought the armor to Melvin Potter to fix up. Potter's not too keen on this. Looks like a weird version of Daredevil, though Matt currently it's thought that Daredevil's dead. We get basically a rundown of what happened over the course of Fall from Grace. One of the major things was the return of Elektra. But currently, as Matt Murdock is believed dead, he is living elsewhere in Hell's Kitchen as Jack Batlin, a nod to his father's boxing career. His father was Batlin Jack Murdock. There are locals that he's befriended. He's the Jack Batlin is supposed to be basically a con man. But there's Lamar, Mr. Stiffy, and a psychic named Brandy. Mostly, she uses she's a crystal ball. She uses tarot readings. But we also get little hints of what his other allies are up to. Karen Page, Elektra. But Daredevil's dealing with basically people disappearing. He's seems they're being kidnapped. Apparently, the people kidnapping them, the people actually doing the actual kidnapping, they're just given who to grab and given a time and place to deliver them to, or a place to deliver them to. But Daredevil has a brief fight with Sabretooth, and he also manages to free the most recent batch of kidnapping victims. And Matt also reflects upon his current crisis of faith. And he is working on finding the missing people. And doing what he can to help those in the community. But Matt does further investigations as Daredevil, while Wilson Fisk is working on getting a car, leading the two of them to butt heads. At this point in time, Fisk had also had a bit of a fall. He was no longer the kingpin of crime. After a brief scuffle, Daredevil leaves, and Fisk seemingly beats to death the people that had been involved in the fight. But Daredevil does some investigating of a train yard where it seems that potentially the kidnapping victims have been taken. While there, it turns out that seemingly the mastermind behind everything, is none other than Baron Wolfgang von Strucker, founder of Hydra. And that is where the issue ends. I keep pointing out, I love these nostalgia minis. Largely, written in a manner that especially when it's written by the a writer from the era, especially if it's kind of a nod to a specific era on a book, getting the writer who had written that book in that time frame. And so far to this point, it's an older take on. It's basically something of a slightly older take on Daredevil. There are, of course, similarities, but the character has evolved over the last few decades. So, as well as has his supporting cast. Moving on, though, to our next book, we've got another Marvel nostalgia miniseries, Marvel Superhero Secret Wars Battleworld #1. So, in the 1980s, Marvel. There were two crossovers in the mid '80s that are kind of seen as being like the biggest of big event comics. Crisis on Infinite Earths from DC Comics and Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars from Marvel Comics. So the idea of Secret Wars was the Beyonder took a bunch of heroes, a bunch of villains, popped on a world he created called Battleworld, and the whole thing was okay, the heroes and the villains fight it out, so that the Beyonder could learn which was stronger, good or evil. One of the more enduring plot points is that Spider-Man's costume got damaged, and he saw a building where heroes were simply going in, getting their costumes repaired. Spider-Man didn't think to ask, "Hey, which machine did you guys use to repair your costumes?" And so he just kind of started nosing around and ended up with going from the red and red and blue classic costume to the black costume. Well, we all know what's become of that black costume. So Spider-Man is dealing with what appears to be wolf monsters and frost giants as best as he can. He's being observed by two others who seem to be Beyonders themselves. But makes his way through, and at the point during Secret Wars this takes place is after Doom had taken the power of the Beyonder. But he knocks over one of the frost giants onto what appears to be one of the wolf creatures in its cub, and Spider-Man being Spider-Man, he saves the wolf creature and its cub, but he also messes up his arm a little bit. He dislocated his arm, so does what he can to pop it back into place, but still needs to heal. But he gets a whirlwind, throws him through what seems to be on part of Battleworld, and he ends up in the midst of a battle between two warring factions. As the Spidey tries to deal with both forces, who are equally intent on shooting him as they are each other, when the Human Torch shows up. Torch isn't exactly happy to be there helping Spider-Man, and they find abandoned city a city largely full of zombies and make their escape. However, well, these Beyonders they're observing are above tossing additional problems in the way, starting with Crusher Creel, the Absorbing Man. And then the Hobgoblin shows up. And that is where the issue ends. Interesting. To be fair, I've never actually read Marvel Superhero Secret Wars. It's one of those comics I know the basics of what happened. And I keep hoping that maybe when, I don't know, the an omnibus edition pops up, maybe I can pick that up and actually read through it. Much like I did with Dark Phoenix Saga. Finally reading that in omnibus form just a few years ago. Moving on, though, to our last book for the moment, we've got Void Rivals number 6. Where we left off, our heroes were imprisoned. Well, Derek had been broken out. And, well, there's no clue what was going to happen with, oh God, I don't forget her name. Not the other, but the issue opens with her being broken out. Take a quick trip to elsewhere. Our space scavenger gives up the combined Argorian and Zertonian ship to the Quintessons, who look it over and well, say there's much to consider, and but our heroes are reunited and they're going to escape. Excuse me. However, word has reached the Zertonian leadership that they both escaped, and well, yeah, they're not happy. But our heroes make their way to a waiting ship. However, Zertonian security forces are waiting, and they were betrayed by one of the younger members. Apparently, they claimed that they helped find his mom if he helped them. But our heroes make a break for it, and as they make their escape, they head towards the northern wastelands. But an advisor to the Zertonian leader says, no one's ever survived that. Just no point in sending anyone so we're fine. But the leaders, it's like, yeah, given these two, send someone to make sure that they're dead or finish the job if the wastelands haven't killed them. The person they're sending? Proximus. And that is where the issue ends. There's also a preview of Cobra Commander, which in fact, the preview pages have been floating around for a little bit. It's nothing super special. But anyways, Void Rivals continues to get interesting. I'm curious to see Proximus. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Mastodon, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off saying, live long and rock hard.